Hello and welcome back to my channel. So a while back when I was doing some shares of my Secret Not Secret kit club, I think maybe the August kit, or maybe even the July kit. Anyway, I had then asked if anybody would like me to do some album shares, and the response was overwhelmingly yes, and then somehow I just didn't get them done. So here we go. So I'm going to try and get at least one of these shares up a month, maybe even two. And I'm going to start here with my Poland album, because this probably has one of the albums with the most variety, as I started this album way back in, I think, 2007. It's going to be split in three parts: the Warsaw part, Krakow, and then Zakopane, which are the three areas that I spent some time in March 2006. I spent about 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more than 2 weeks in Poland, and it was a surprise to me how much I enjoyed it and how much I would go back to Poland in a heartbeat. So here we go. So this is sort of the intro page to it. This is a very old page. I think I did this this is probably one of the first scrapbook pages that I did, I think, before I actually discovered what modern day scrapbooking is. So this I did just from remembering as a child those scrapbooks that we had. So this is just printed out on my computer, as is the journaling here. These are things that I took from the guidebook. I just did some circles, and this, I don't even remember, in all honesty, where this paper comes from. So the intro page gives a little bit of a summary of the Warsaw experience, which did not start off well at all. Our first impression of Warsaw was not good. We arrived at 8 p.m. and as we came out of the train station, we felt as though we were in a downtown city, all glitz and lights and not much harder soul, followed by a taxi from hell experience. I did not do a lot of taxis during this entire backpacking trip, as I was on a budget, but this was a little bit later in the evening. I wasn't quite sure where I was going. The tourist office was closed, so I decided to give taxis a try. But there is a fiddle in Warsaw for taxis, or there was then. In any case, my Lonely Planet guide wrote about it, so at least I was aware of it. And it's a little bit where there are taxis that are not metered, who will charge you an arm and a leg, but then the official taxis won't take you because they're sort of in collusion. So anyway, it was rather a harrowing experience. Then I got to the hotel, which was really far, but as it turns out, it was quite manageable by public transportation. It was an ex-Soviet style high-rise block. It really looked like a big apartment building with hundreds of tattered rooms and a 120-person strong orchestra and choir that was staying there, practicing all night. So there you go. So that was my first impression. But anyway, really just wanted to see the old town and get to the Chopin Museum. Got into the bus. I'm very short. I'm 5 feet tall, and the average height of a lot of Polish people is way taller than that. So even the bus ride was a little harrowing, as I felt sort of cramped within all these people and I couldn't really see, but at the end got to where I needed to go, spent an absolutely lovely day and wound up totally reconciled with Warsaw at the end of the day. The museum was great. The old town was absolutely charming. It had been pretty much grazed to the ground during World War II, but 85% of it, in fact, but it has been lovingly restored. I had a beautiful lunch of pierogies and lesko, and it was less than €4. So, and then there's a lovely skating rink, and you'll see I've done a page on that. So at the end of the day, it was absolutely worth it. So page 1, at First Impressions of Warsaw. This is also a very old page, and I think I may have done this in a class I took in 2007 when I discovered scrapbooking in a little bit more of the modern contemporary style. I found that I was living next to a local scrapbook store about 1.5 kilometers away from me. So I actually went and took a class, enjoyed it, got a lot of pointers. I think it was a 12-week class, and in those days, I can't remember, it was crazy. I think it was like $100 or something, and all the supplies were included. So it was amazing. Sadly, in, I guess, 2009 or 2010, it closed, but there you go. So this, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is some of my beloved Basic Gray supplies. And if you recall, we did a lot of angling with photos in those days. So, and these, I actually still have some of these left in my stash. I really should get them out and use them. They're sort of like leatherette. They're actually all back in style. So there you go, some brads. And there you go. So this is part of the Old Town Square. And I believe the little restaurant where I said we were having this amazing lunch is down this little side street here, or down this little street here. So that is Old Town Warsaw. This layout, you see, I've done a lot more recently. This is a layout I did during one of our Secret Not Secret Kit Club scrap parties, and I used some Authentique here and some Prima. I think some Prima that I had actually won in a previous party. This comes from the prize that I had won. Some lovely wood veneer, nice little journaling. That came from one of the bowls on my desk. Again, another Old Town photo. And you can see here that although these were done many years apart, they still, they still sort of go together. I don't mind. I have layouts that are 10 years old next to layouts that are 10 minutes old in my albums. And I don't mind at all. Sometimes I think about whether they'll go together. Oftentimes I don't even. So there you go, that one. This is a layout I did quite recently as well, using my beloved Basic Gray. And this, I think, was a layout, maybe a little challenge I did with my friend Annalise, where we did a little bit of a series. We did 2 or 3 layouts challenging each other to use our beloved Basic Gray. This is a branding strip from Penelope D, which I think was my May Secret Not Secret Kit Club kit. And I used bits from that kit on here as well. This is a 6x6 piece of paper that comes from the Pay It Forward boxes that we did. This came from my lovely friend Christine Etier. So there we go. Did a few little punched circles here, some washi tape on white cardstock, and I punched out a few little flowers. So there you go, a fairly simple, this is a little bit one of my go-to designs, sort of like an L shape with the photo being on a slight angle, and the title over on this side. It's one of my 2 or 3, I guess, go-to designs. Now, if you'd like to see a layout share featuring just a couple of examples of each of my go-to designs, I think I have probably 4 go-to designs. This one is way back when, is based on a scrap lift that I did, I think probably in 2013, 2014 of Tracy Banks during a Scraptastic, one of the Scraptastic crop parties back in those days. So if you'd like to see my go-to designs and how I adapt them and how I use them, pop me a comment down below and we'll try and get that series going as well. This is also using, I think this is Penelope D. or 49 in Market, but there you go. I love this page. And this is this famous skating rink that right in the middle of austere and rebuilt concrete Warsaw, this large skating rink with music and people laughing and having fun seemed out of place and yet softened the surroundings. So this was lovely, and it was actually next. It's next to the Palace of Culture and Science, so you can see sort of the contrasting scenery here. Again, one of these lovely branding strips. This is a Prima paper. This comes from the 6x6 pad again that I got from my lovely friend Christine. This was in one of my scrapbook and cards today sampler kits, one of the early ones, and I think this it's a copper, and it might be from the Here and There collection. One of my kits was based on that as well. This was, I didn't think I would ever get this on a page. It's a very old Simple Stories. It was in one of my bowls. Skates, love them. And then a couple, 3, in fact, cork stars that were from a Spiegelmom Scraps collection. And then this one I think I must have made probably 2 years ago. One of the things Poland is well known for is Polish poster art. And it was all over Warsaw and elsewhere in Poland, but mainly in Warsaw. And this particular poster, I love taking it because this was, this is a Canadian, in fact, a Quebec movie. And it was premiering, and it was all over the place in 2006. And it was starting, obviously, in theaters on the 10th of March. So I love taking a photo of it. This was before, I did not scrapbook when I went on this trip, but this trip is why I started scrapbooking. And this journaling, this sort of pop-up here, is a pointer I got. This was from a layout that my friend Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life did. I think it's a couple of years ago. I don't remember what her layout was about. It might even have been her December daily. I'm not too sure. But I loved it as a way of getting a lot of journaling. So here I've typed up just a little bit about history of Polish artwork, the folk artists, and how it morphed into poster art, and then my experience coming across this poster for Crazy, the Canadian French language movie directed by Jean-Marc Vallée, who is now very, very well known, and I believe has won, or he's certainly been nominated for an Oscar anyway. These are a couple of photos, examples of Polish poster art that I found on Google. And quite frankly, I think with these, I must say, I'm not sure I remember the supplies. This is definitely a Paige Evans, and I think the background paper is from Paige Evans as well. And I'm not too sure where this golden yellow comes from. Love these enamel black letters. And then here I just put the word exciting news so that people would know to flip up. And then for the last layout in this first album share, this is a very, very, very old layout as well. I'm pretty sure I did this as part of that famous scrapbooking class that I took. This is the Chopin Museum. And this is actually stamped on, it's sort of like a little leatherette. It was a technique we learned in the class, and it was sort of heated up a little bit like embossing, and then reverse embossed onto this little leatherette piece, and then inked, and it turned out beautifully. And I don't remember whether this was afterwards, whether it was die cut or fussy cut, but it was kind of cool. This here was just a large, this is a very, very flimsy paper. This is just a regular cardstock. It's even starting to, ooh, look at that. The light is getting to this a little bit. A little bit of a border strip, doing some little wavy things. I think back on one of my first trimmers, one of my first Fiskars trimmers. I got an add-on that had all of these different kind of wavy things, doing some inking of the edges, rounding corners here, which is a little bit old school as well. So there you go, you see, and it sits, oh my goodness me, this fell off. Oh, we'll have to do a little bit of surgery here. And this sits next to this one. This is about 2 years old. And this layout here is just a few months old. So there you go. There is my first album share. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you would like more of the travel portion, let me know. A little bit more on the scrapbooking portion, let me know as well. Let me know if there's anything you would like me to do more of, less of, how you like these album shares. So I'll be back in a couple of weeks with the Krakow portion of my Poland trip. Have a lovely day. Thanks for joining me. I'd love it if you subbed, if you're not already subbed to my channel. Talk to you soon. Bye.